What a tremendous reversal in the stock market today. The single biggest reason was an oil which went up to 100 on Thursday, was already retreating on Friday to 96, 97. Today went below 90 to end at 88, 89. Almost a 10% drop. So this incredible change in the price of oil because of the weekend, there was some talks about easing thing. Oman is now involved in the peace process, and this dramatic reversal in the trend of oil meant that there was a huge relief rally in the Indian markets, with the Nifty up 1%, the small cap index and the micro cap up 1.3, and the mid cap between them at 1.1%, right? Such a reversal was unexpected, though on Friday afternoon we got a hint when it went from 100 to 97, but over the weekend clearly there's a massive relief. This led to three things on the macro front. One is that there was an easing of US yields after many weeks to about 4.64 from 4.7. Though Indian yields didn't move that much, but the rupee appreciated almost 70 basis points today and ended at 95.81. So the rally was driven by what? And you'll be surprised or not surprised, which way you look at it, not by the FIIs returning. Yes, there was a significant drop. If you look, Thursday, I think they sold about 3,000 crores. Friday, they sold about almost 4,000 crores. So today, they sold only 1,600 crores. But still, they were negative. Now, DIS, did they jump in and compensate? Partially. I think DI flows were only about 2,300 crores. It's only about 700 crores more. Despite that, there was a broad market rally. So you can see what I'm leading up to. So today's rally was driven by the NIDI, the non-institutional domestic investors. First evidence of that is the micro cap and the small cap outperforming the large cap and the mid caps. Second was the advanced decline ratio, an unbelievable 2,058 stocks went up and only 957 stocks went down. The volatility index crashed down almost 10% to come to 12.6 from the 14 levels. So all of this indicates that there's a massive retail and individual accounts rallies. DIS held fort. They bought whatever the FII sold. So the rally, however, was so strong and so wide that no sector was in the negative today. There were some flat sectors today in terms of maybe FMCG consumption, those were like oil and gas, PSU banks, because oil and gas and energy, right? You have refiners on one end and producers like ONGs on the other. They obviously react opposite to oil prices. So that was flat. But nothing was negative, right? So broad-based buying across the board by the non-institutional players today. And what is the top sector today? IT. And why was that? I think because Jeffries decided that Indian IT had corrected enough and he had raised the outlook to neutral from underweight, which was a big take. And then I think Infosys gave some clarity on the succession plan, which the market liked, and that particular stock also rallied a lot today, right? The next two sectors to do well were clearly realty, consumption, auto, all the rate sensitives. Though today banks didn't participate much. PSU banks were flat, private banks was up only about 40 basis points. But the rest of the rate sensitives reacted because with oil dropping, that's a big relief, because otherwise with oil also rising and the food inflation also rising, it was proving to be a negative overhang which got removed. But like I said, today was more about how the domestic investors reacted. FIs are still cautious. Yes, they brought down their level of selling, but I wouldn't say that they caused the rally today. The rally was entirely domestic, or allow to say an Atmanirbhar rally, if I may use that word. So apart from this, what was the specific news today? Well, Brent crude I already covered because there was some easing of talks involving Oman there. Rupee posted the highest single day gain in more than 6 weeks, and through his treasury fell to 4.6. I think I already covered all of this. Now the key element there is that the other results, right? If you look at it, obviously with oil prices crashing, aviation and paints, the two heavy users of crude, surged today in terms of Interglobe as well as Asian Paints. The realty also I spoke about, and ONG obviously lost because of the 4% down. RBI governor made a statement today saying that inflation is more important than growth in a way. But given the oil price was crashing, market didn't react negatively to him saying that we'll prioritize inflation over growth. Okay. Some results of today, just to quickly cap. Bharat Electronics reported an 8% rise in net profits, and their EBITDA margin, however, came down slightly, but overall not very too negative a result here. Coal India, however, reported very flat year-on-year rise in their net profit, and their EBITDA margin also contracted by about 3% down. Tata Power, however, was good with a 11% rise in the net profit, and AU Small Finance Bank reported a 37% rise in net profit and also expanded its net interest margin, right? So, which is counter to what a lot of other banks did that. So, that was a good news. So, obviously, the stock reacted positively to that. So, that was a brief summary for today. And on that very happy note, let's hope the crude sustains, because that's what is driving Indian sentiment clearly in the markets. Thank you and good day.